Good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome. I believe we are live on Facebook already. Good evening, Jennifer Wilson. So, as you are logging on, you know what we want you to do. We want you to please tag and share. And so, my name is Nina Rochelle Mora, you guys. And I am excited to be here with you. We missed you last week. And so we certainly did not want to miss this week's episode of the Mora Experience. And good evening, Sonia. I see you guys. I'm starting to log in. You know what? We've been talking about the D word. And in talking about the D word, we were talking about good evening, Kimberly Rogers. As you guys are logging on, as a matter of fact, listen, let me know where you're logging in from. What city, what state, and or what country might you be joining us from? And so when we were talking about the D word, we were talking about depression. And we get to expound on that D word this evening as we talk about another D word. And the D word that we are going to talk about this evening is the D word, divorce. Now, I know that divorce is like taboo. And divorce is something, Darlene, I see you, Darlene and Tedra. Trey, I see you. Divorce is something that a lot of people just they don't want to talk about. The reality of it is I think that it's a conversation worth having. And I think it's a conversation worth having, Nona Inslee, because there are people that don't know how to heal properly from divorce. There are people who go through the emotions of divorce, the guilt, the shame, and don't understand. And oftentimes they don't understand that divorce is not just something that the one individual goes through, but divorce it involves a whole gamut of people. And so I want to talk about there's two processes of divorce, and I'm just so grateful that I see so many of you logging on this evening. There's two processes of divorce, and I actually have a very, very, very special guest that we're going to bring up in just a moment. Um, and we're going to talk about the fact that even through divorce, there is sometimes depression, right? But I have a very special guest that I'm going to bring onto the line this evening. She and I actually went through divorce at the same time. We were like the blind leading the blind. But where I was weak, you guys, she was strong. And where she was weak, I was strong. And so let's talk about the two processes of divorce first. There's a legal process, and then there's an emotional process. And most times, you guys, it's very tough to say which one of the two have greater ramifications than the other, right? I see you, Walter Earl. There's legal process, there's emotional processes, but there are also stages of divorce, right? And we're gonna have some real conversation tonight. Is that okay? You guys know that we only keep it real here, right? We're gonna have some very real conversation. Most people don't understand that they've got to prepare themselves for the parade of emotions that can change from day to day. They can change from hour to hour. They can change from week to week. They can change from minute to minute, right? Learning to cope with the emotional ups and downs, divorce can be tough. I believe that everyone should seek counsel going through divorce, right? You've got to be willing to seek help from an experienced, qualified mental health professional. You've got because the process of counseling takes time. We have seen we've seen lots of people that we know benefit from being able to go to counseling because you need to know that there's no judgment in that arena, only avenues to make sure that we gain the healing that we need. And also, we don't even think about the fact that oftentimes those kids should go through counseling as well, because it is not just the parents that are going through the divorce, but we don't even know the effects that it has on the kids, right? And so I'm gonna bring someone to the line, you guys. Like I said, she and I go way, 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 way back. And we were both going through the same thing at the same time. It's almost like, and we'll talk more about that, as far as people actually acting like we planned it out nobody wants to go through a divorce, you guys. Nobody's planning to go through a divorce. But this young lady is living out of Manayunk, or just call it Manayunk area, you guys, Philly, right? In Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. She is remarried. And so we're gonna hear some stories of triumph tonight as well. And we're gonna let you know she's here to talk to you about the fact that there is life after divorce. I need you all to welcome to the line my cousin, sister, friend, Mrs. Tammy Hooks. Hey! Hello. Now I want y'all to know my girlfriend is way smarter than me, y'all.
Really?
She is way smarter than me. Can you let everybody know who you are and what you do? You do so much, but can you let everybody know who you are and what you do?
I'm nobody. I'm Tammy Hooks. I am a wife, a mother. That's something I get from you. I'm a wife, a mother. I currently I'm working in the airport as a customer service manager, which is very interesting. And I just whatever my life right now is, whatever mood hits me, that's what I go and do. See if I can conquer it and then on to the next. So I'm kind of not like in a stable, like always staying in the same vein. I try new adventures lately in life. So
that's amazing, because you were at your longtime job for how many years?
29 years. 29 years I was with the healthcare. Yep. And didn't think I would ever leave.
Never. You were like, I'm gonna die here.
I'm gonna die here. Yep.
That's what you said.
Yep.
And I remember calling you at work one time.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember calling you at work, and I remember, I think, like sending something to your job or something like that. And I remember you saying back then,
hey y'all,
that you said, oh, my husband don't even know my work phone number, or my husband don't even know my work address, or something like that. And right. So let's dig into it. How, Tammy, both of us went through divorce at the same time.
At the same exact time. Yes, we did.
And it was not easy.
It was not easy. And it was, like you said, some key words that you brought back to my memory. I felt shame, especially being a Christian, and going to church all the time. I felt shame. I was depressed, and didn't know it. My emotions went up and down daily. Sometimes I would cry about it. Sometimes I was glad about it. And even though the divorce was a good decision, it is very hard to handle. I think about one time when Bishop Coleman explained it, and when I went through the divorce, it felt like, he said, it's like gluing two pieces of wood together. Once you do that and try to tear it apart, they splinter. And they stick, the pieces of that piece of wood stick to each other. And it, just logically, you're going, that don't make sense. But when you go through the emotion of it, and how you still can love somebody and know that you shouldn't be with them anymore, you feel that splintering of your person, yourself. So very
facts. So Tammy, when we were going through a divorce, I'm sure you remember this. In our church, there was a series being preached.
Oh my God!
On marriage,
the marriage vows.
Till death do us part.
Death do us part. I remember walking out of church sometime when that was being preached, because it was heavy. It was really heavy, and at the time, I can understand now, just because I've had private kind of conversation with our pastor bishop. But in the moment, it was very hard to hear what marriage was supposed to be, what marriage was supposed to look like. And mine's looked nothing like it. Matter of fact, I didn't have a marriage at all while it was happening. I was legally married, but we weren't in the same home. We weren't speaking, and it was strange. I don't know the perfect word for it. Right. It was very strange.
So there are some feelings. There are some people that feel numb. There are some people that feel, and I know I have to say this word, and I know I'm gonna get in trouble for it later for saying raw, because and I can say pause to all of you that understand why I just said pause, right?
Yeah. Raw is a good word. Raw is a good word.
Everything hurts. Everything. your emotions are uniquely yours. It's personal, but it's not personal. You know what I mean? It's personal, but it's not personal because no matter what, you feel like you're on display.
Yes.
You're on display, like almost like you're walking around wearing a red D, like they did
Yes.
Scarlet Letter. Okay,
Everybody knows.
everybody knows, right?
Mhm.
Um, when did you know? Like, no one gets married. Let's say that no one gets married thinking, oh, and I just can't wait to go through this divorce, right?
Right.
No
No,
one gets married with that intent.
no. And I was married for 17 years. So that was the furthest thing from my mind. I married my childhood sweetheart. So why would I ever think I was going to get a divorce?
When did you know? When did you know? Because you've been divorced now how many years? Let everybody know how many years it's been.
Well, oh, how many years? I don't think about it. I got divorced in 2005. How
Uh,
long you been divorced?
right.
Right.
2005.
Five.
It's been 15, 16, 17 years.
17 years this
17
July.
years.
Yes. Okay, 17 years.
I can't even believe it.
Yes,
17 years.
that's as long as I was married. That's strange.
Wow.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. So I knew it was time for divorce. We separated, or he moved out. I'm not ashamed to say he moved out. And a couple months later, he said, I want a divorce. And I was like, fine. And even though because I moved like that, I was like, fine. And I went and filed the papers. I paid for it. I told him that when the papers come, sign them and send them back. And because I was moving, I just kept moving because I was a mother. I had a job, I had a home. So I kept moving. I couldn't let it stop me. But I remember the day I went in and to the lawyer and started the process. And I came out and I boohoo cried. I boohoo cried because I knew that was it. I was physically knowing I was physically doing this, but the emotional part of it hit me. Like, I'm going to end this relationship. This is over. My family, the way it's currently situated, is broken. I felt very much my family was broken, but I knew it was the right thing to do.
But I believe that we know when the marriage is over way
Oh,
long before. That's what I'm saying. When did you
oh,
know? Because I believe we know long before.
oh yeah. Oh yeah. I remember sitting on a sofa and I had this notebook and I was sitting on the sofa and I was planning out, how do I pay the bills? How do I take care of everything that we take care I take up with my income alone? And I would write in the book and I was planning because I knew because of the things that had happened in my marriage, because of and I don't want to say things in case other people like the
Right.
personal things, but because of the things that was taking place in my marriage, I knew I had to find a way out. But I wasn't prepared to just go. I felt like if I could plan for it, it would be better. So I used to write in a notebook and then I would slide the notebook under the sofa. And then when I would have another opportunity, I would try to look it up because it had gotten really bad. And I was going to church every Wednesday, every Sunday, teaching on Thursday. And it was just, I would come home and it was bad. And it wasn't a good environment for my children. And one of the things that people don't know, the children know, they are watching. And I learned like a year afterwards, my kids would tell me what they saw, what I didn't know that they saw. I thought we were keeping it secret, but they saw what was happening. And it wasn't always bad, but in the last few years it got bad and I could see it ending, even though in my heart I didn't want it to.
Mm-hmm.
But I was trying to prepare myself for an ending. But I don't think we can prepare ourselves enough for it.
I don't think so either. Now, I want everybody that's watching to know that this is not a platform to bash ex-husbands, ex-wives, or anything like that. We are talking about the process of divorce. We're talking about the healing of it. We're going to get there, but I think we've got to lay some foundation for us to understand where exactly we are. And so many times we hear people say that they stay because of the kids. They stay, oh, I'm doing it for the kids, and but you're right, the kids know. I remember my kids saying to me, why would you take them back? Why would you even take them back? Like, we didn't need you to take them back, and and but we absolutely know that it's over long before it's over. And I believe that there are two components to why we stay. One, we really don't want anyone to think we failed.
No,
We don't want anybody to think we failed.
no,
We don't but we don't want to feel what we're feeling. We know that the environment and what we're in is not a good situation. Ours weren't just that, oh, you know what, I don't feel like being married anymore. Let me be done with this. It wasn't that kind
no.
of thing. But talk about how you felt then as a Christian woman, because we need to talk about that and the torment that we went through, you and I together, when we would be sitting there crying together. And what did that do to you? That part of it. The word, you teach the word of God.
Right.
We know what the word said. We know how we felt. We did how we, even having to go to church, knowing what we were going through and some of the things that were being said about us.
Even the experience, the way people treated me in church. Because here's the funny thing. I was a soldier, so they wouldn't know how they were affecting me. But I might be skipping ahead, but I thought about, I went through this class. Remember, I went through the class out of Egypt. And in that class, the teacher was a psychologist, and she ripped down the walls that I had put up to protect myself against what people were saying. And I'm gonna be raw. They called us lesbians.
They did.
They said we planned it. I don't know why they think we would plan. Totally, like, we lost everything.
Everything.
And like, oh, we planned that? Yeah, that's what we did. The ones who were close to us when we were all married kind of moved away, as if we could have infect them with this. And then literally getting beat from the pulpit because we weren't successful in what we were taught. Right. We know what the word says, and we know what the word said about marriage, and we weren't successful in that. And it was in this class where she revealed that I was shamed. I felt shame, and I didn't know it because I was being a soldier. I was being strong. I was, still working for Jesus. And then I kept saying for the older saints who wanted to talk about it, I kept saying, but I stayed. We stayed.
We did.
We stayed home. We stayed with the kids, and we stayed in church. When they abandoned all that, they abandoned the home, the children, and the church, and us financially as well. But we were the ones who felt the brunt of it, and it was difficult. It was difficult.
Very, very, and difficult to still have to teach, still have to lead worship, still have to be a mom, still have to go to work, still have to do all of those things, and then feel isolated from the very mechanism that we thought was supposed to kind of protect us or take us in, or then even, and although we weren't widows, but I mean, there were still some children that still needed assistance, needed a covering, needed a hedge of protection. And we really, at that moment, at that point, we were all each other had, because we felt so all alone, then going to family functions, and the holidays coming up. And we literally became our own little inner family because of how bad we felt and the shame that we felt, the guilt that we felt. What helped you? Because I'm gonna talk about these five. Let me mention the five stages of divorce, and then we'll kind of talk about them, because the first stage of divorce actually is denial.
Okay.
It's denial. It's the first stage. Being in denial doesn't mean that a person refuses to accept the truth. Denial comes from being incapable of processing what's actually happening. There's just too much to take in at once, and it is.
It is.
It's natural to try to and avoid conflict, but there may be very real problems, like with our situations, that just aren't going to go away. Right? We'll say things like, she'll get over it, he'll get over it, they'll grow out of that. Maybe they can, but with denial, there may be confusion or fear, even the fear of having to, now, how do I take care of myself and the kids off of what this one income is? How do I make it to all the fun? How do I take them to the doctor if I'm at work? Like, all of the things that you start to think about, where you did have some help, where there was some, even if it wasn't good, it was like something there. Or even so, euphoria, the nightmare is ending, right? Or shock, because some people just didn't see it coming. I know we have some girlfriends that
they didn't see
that their husbands just came and were like, I want a divorce. They didn't see it coming.
Right.
And remember, we were saying, you got to be kidding me.
Right, because it was screaming at us.
How did you not see that coming? Mm-hmm. You got to be kidding me, right? You feel like you have to make the marriage work, no matter how unhappy you are, right? You may cry, have headaches, be stressed. Everyone grieves differently, but with different intensities. There are some people that appear like they just got over it. They were fine, And then, too, I think there are some people that have known for such a long time, they stayed because maybe they didn't want it to look bad. Maybe it was an abusive situation and they didn't know how to get out of it, right? Whether it's physical or verbal. Maybe they stayed because of the finances. Mm-hmm. They knew that they couldn't afford to live on one income. I know some people that are still married today because of that, because of finances. Mm-hmm. And they were living their own life, and they were living their own life over there, and they would just stay at the house together, but they were all doing that, which is ridiculous to me. Mm-hmm. It's ridiculous.
That's a mess.
And that's the cycle that then gets passed down.
Yep. I remember one day we were having the girls, we had all the women over, and you said something clearly. And I think this was the stages we were kind of talking about what was going on. It was before divorce, but it was like, this is happening in the marriage. And you said, do we stay and teach this to our daughters? Do we teach that this is acceptable to our daughters? Or do we, become independent and teach them how we should be treated, how they should be treated? And that kind of stuck to me in my head when you had said it, so that when I was going through the process, it was like, I have to be strong for my daughter and let her know this is not acceptable. Because that's what we teach them when we stay in bad relationships, when we stay in a bad marriage and situation. They see everything. Somebody wrote that the children see everything. And it's important that it's difficult, but sometimes you have to just stand on your 2 feet. I remember clearly one day, so you was trying to move into another house, because even the effects of divorce, it's not months. It can last years. It lasted, I think, up until I got married again, almost. Maybe even a little bit into it. Some more things came out when we got married that I hadn't even touched on and got healing from. But I remember you were moving, and I was so down that day, I could not even get up out the bed. And I remember you saying, just give me until tomorrow. I laid down in the bed and I just laid there and cried. And that was a while. That was a while after. But the emotion hit me that day. And I remember I wasn't even strong enough to come help you that day. I was coming tomorrow. I knew I was going to be okay tomorrow. But that day I had to ride that depression out. And it's funny how the waves and ebbs would hit you. You just don't know. You don't know.
I think part of that is the parts of the denial. And there are things that we literally were in denial about for so long that when the reality of it, when the layers just kept coming off and kept coming off and kept coming off. Hey, Kendra,
Taken.
right? That it's like you realize I was in denial about that. And I can no longer be in denial about this thing. And and I think about the next phase of divorce, which is anger. It's the second stage. You're angry. The anger stems from being lied to, betrayed, rejected, deceived, misunderstood, or even abandoned. It comes from being pushed into a bad place by someone you trusted. You may be angry with yourself, because I believe we were angry with ourselves. You may be irritated, frustrated, anxious over what's happening in the divorce itself. You may find yourself worried, impatient, argumentative, complaining. You might drink too much or exercise too much, which actually became one of my problems, right? Eat too much or binge watch TV. You may think you're being punished. Your faith may be shaken.
Yes.
And I think we probably felt all of that.
And I think two of them that stood out the most. Yes, I was angry because I was rejected and abandoned. And the rejection. And that's something that took me a long time to handle, even in other situations. I automatically felt someone's rejecting me because I was rejected. How did you rejected me? You abandoned me, and you left me here with these children in this house, and you financially left me. And it just felt, I was angry, and like, I just was like lost a lot of times. I didn't know what to do. And like things like my electric would get cut off. And it was for some small amount, but it was because I was so disoriented and trying to work and take care of kids and have a home and still go to church and do this and that, that I would miss bills and electric would be cut off and stupid stuff like that. But I think I've hit each of those emotions at different times, but the greatest was rejection. And that was something I had to get over.
Yeah, I think mine was betrayal and abandonment. And I think I was more angry because I felt like how I get played. Like I felt like my spidey senses. Where were my spidey senses? And because of your love for your children, and because of your love for God, and because of your love of the word, and because of the stance or the status of who I was in my family and the ministry we were in, and all of those things, because of all of those things, you kind of are like, well, I just got to cope with this. I just got to take this one on the chin. I'm taking this one for the team. And and you feel like you're making the right decision to just overlook things that are going on for the sake of the kids and the family and your church and your this and your that. And I would tell you, even our process of going back to who we were before marriage was tough, like having to buy your name back. Having to buy your name back. Like
having to figure out how to get the oil changed in the car. Which, I mean, it seemed something simple, something I just never did. Something needs to be fixed with the car. I'm like, I don't know what to do with that. So just everything that you have to figure out on your own, those simple things that you didn't do before. Yeah. But I didn't buy my name back because I just kept the name my kids had. So I did that. But just everything, finding yourself, I remember you asked, what's your favorite ice cream? And I was like, and the first time you go, well, the kids like Oreo cookies and cream, or I would get vanilla. That would be for everybody else. And I had to figure out what did I like? What did I want? You have to, in divorce, begin to self-care if you weren't before, because you definitely need to know who you are and what your desires are, and take care of yourself so that you can be available to your children, to your job, to your church family, or whatever else you do. Self-care. And I always think those are simple questions, but they touch deep. It touched deep, what is your favorite kind of ice cream? Because you give so much to everybody else, you never think about yourself. And now you're in this place of, like you said, trying to figure out who you are. Buy your name back. Mm-hmm. Take care of things beforehand. And remember, Nina, I said I married my childhood sweetheart, so I've never done it. I had never been a single mom. So I had to learn it now, and it's different when you start raising them when you're single. But now I have a 9-year-old and a 16-year-old that were tripping. They were tripping. And I wasn't even conscious enough to seek help for them. Seek help for your children. Right. They need it too. You said that in the beginning. They need it too.
Yeah. So it's amazing now looking at our marriage before and our marriages now. Totally and different. We know now, so different. It's totally different. But we're different. We learn so much from the divorce. There is life after divorce. And we want all of you to know that are watching, that have been through a divorce, that you can have a happy, healthy marriage. And guess what? I didn't say perfect.
No.
I can have a happy, healthy marriage. First of all, I'm not perfect, right? I do not wake up going in the mornings. Okay. I do wake up with a bonnet on. Bonnet, but I'm not perfect. He's not perfect, but we learn so much through our marriages and our divorces that now we know that it's important to know, well, what do I like? Well, where do I like to travel? What kind of things do I like to do? When do I need my quiet time? And to know that it is okay to like some things for yourself.
Yes.
And to, and where before we were like robotic and we were existing in a marriage because we didn't want to let a whole lot of other people down. And honestly, you guys, mainly God. Beyond
definitely
our sin, it was God. It was our love for God. It was our love for the word. It was our love for ministry, being in ministry. And we honestly didn't want to make the ministry look bad. If I don't know another way to say it. We knew what we were representing, the kingdom, and we didn't want to make the kingdom look bad, or all of our church was a heavy, it was the word was heavy in our church, and marriage was preached about a lot in our church. For the bishop's daughter, let's talk about that now. The bishop's daughter, the worship leader, you're the new beginnings teacher. You're teaching, right, for us to be the ones going through divorce. And then it seemed like all our friends were going through a divorce at the same time. We had a circle of women. So we were really bad-mouthed because there were and you know what? I will tell you, I am so grateful for the circle of women that we had during that time, because had it not been for that circle of women, I don't know where we would have been. I don't know. I know that I was introduced to the industry and the profession that I'm in now because of divorce. I was open to needing something else. Mm-hmm. And I don't, we weren't trying to infect people, right? That's the way we were being treated, like we were the plague.
Yes.
We weren't. But there were women. I know this is going to sound crazy. Help me, because you're the teacher.
Ouch.
But it's almost like other women found strength.
Yes.
Through knowing, oh, wait a minute. Through knowing we were going through divorce. Am I mistaken when I say that? Other women, because they were in situations they know they shouldn't have been in.
Yes, I agree. Yes. And I can think of a lot. it was so strange that this word was coming across the pulpit and they were kind of being beat up by the word. And then it's like sharing, by letting them know, by them knowing us and coming, they could come in secret, or even I think even someone was mad because they were in a situation and they couldn't get out. They were scared to get out for today I don't know why, because they're out now. But they were afraid to get out, and they were mad about the fact that you got free. And and it was like we didn't feel like we got free at the time. You don't feel like I'm free. It was a heavy burden because of the guilt or the shame of it all. People didn't always make you feel like, well, that was a bad situation, you should get out of it. No, you were bad. It made it feel like you were the one that was bad.
Right.
Did you say a name? I thought you said something.
No, that's it.
They made you did something wrong. And I'm thinking, no, I worked. I cleaned my house. I cooked for my kids. I raised my kids. They always looked nice when they was going to church. We always looked together, and I had, I did everything that I thought I should do. I prayed for my husband. I went to church. We fasted, did all of that. And sometimes you felt like Jesus a little bit, like, Father, why have you forsaken me in this? Yeah. Like, why did this not work for me? And so, but taking the time and sharing some of the reality with these women gave them the strength and the courage to get out of bad situations. They were bad. There wasn't just like, oh, I'm tired of him and he get on my nerves, he leaves his clothes around. There were serious situations that women were in and did not know how to get out of.
Right. So you are not alone. Yeah. We want you ladies and men to know that you are not alone. Like you are not alone. And as Christians women, we are supposed to be able to save our marriages. That's what we're taught. That is what we're taught. And when you're not able to save your marriage, then you're like the plague. You're a failure. And something that helped, Tammy, we were suffering in silence until we got very close. Mm-hmm. And once we got very close, see that's what I'm saying. Like, the divorce didn't just happen, y'all. It didn't just like happen when the divorce papers got signed, or when we divorce papers were applied for. You got to understand, we were suffering in silence, and we got close. And because we got close, we went away on vacation together.
Yes, that was horrible.
And I was like, whoa.
You see what
whoa. And right. And I'm not saying that I'm saying that that's when you start to see what the other person is really going through, right? It takes two people to save a marriage. Absolutely, Rob. And the more that we were around each other, like, I remember I was at the house when I lived on 69th Avenue cooking. And I was bent down behind the cabinet when you both walked into the kitchen. And when I came up from the thing, I was dressed, and it was early in the morning. Like, for whatever reason, y'all were over early in the morning. I guess we were having breakfast or something. And I remember your mate saying to you, "Well, look at her. She can be dressed. She dressed and cooking breakfast and cooking food or whatever." And you said, "You trying to make me look bad, girlfriend?" Because I would fry that chicken and go sleep right in that moo, go right and get in the bed in that same moo. And I was saying, like, whoa, don't say. And I'm thinking in my mind, like, don't say that about her. Like, don't do that to her. But the thing is, if those things were happening in front of other people, in my mind, I'm saying, what's happening behind closed doors that I don't know about? That's what I mean by the closer we got, the more we started to see a lot of what was going on. And for me, I dealt with a lot of mine was infidelity, just over and over and over and over again. And that's why I said, sometimes people grow up in situations where it's a learned behavior from what they've seen, and I'm grateful that we had each other through that time. I think that We numbed the pain with working, and we didn't really, I think we finally sought help, but it was so long after.
Yeah,
I
it was
I would really encourage people to seek out some help, right? Go to
first.
counseling first for yourself. If your mate won't go, if your spouse won't go to counseling with you, go for yourself. So important. Go for yourself. And then if there are children involved, I mean, the older ones, it's not going to affect them that bad. But if you've got young children in the house, you've got to make sure that you seek counseling for your kids as well, and let them go by themselves. By themselves. So one of the next, we're not going to talk about it, but I'm going to mention it, and we'll get a guy that'll let us interview him about divorce next week. That would be so nice if we get a
That'd be
guy.
cool. Yep.
We get a guy.
Hear the men.
The next phase of divorce would be bargaining. Then it's depression, which is the fourth stage. And then the fifth stage of divorce is generally acceptance. But I want to end on that second word. And then, like I said, hopefully next Tuesday we can get maybe a gentleman. That would be great to hear a man's point of view on divorce. And then I would like to maybe hear some children, even if they're adult children at this point, children that might have gone through. I know that my parents went through a divorce, but I was very young. So I don't know what that was like. I only know what the aftermath, like the aftermath, the fighting and the feuding, the aftermath. But Tammy, I'm really excited and thankful, grateful that you decided to, and I asked you before today, it wasn't last minute this go round,
Yeah.
to make sure you had some time to be prepared to be on here. But I know that there's life after divorce. We know we're successful at life after divorce. I'm talking about bad credit. We were left in shambles. Like I don't think people understand it. We were left in shambles.
Like think about I think about what's the American dream. I had a husband, I had 2 kids, boy and a girl, a cat, and I had a home and 2 cars. And one day I found myself in I call it was a hut, no car, barely finding, not even having enough money to go buy groceries. And it was like, sometimes you think about it and you can't believe I was ever there, because you worked so hard to have the dream. And then in your new marriage, the dream looks nothing like you thought it should look like, what the American dream is.
Right.
Meaning we take on ideas, and we look at TV and social media now, and what's taught, and this is what it's supposed to look like. But what we find is, it's what it's supposed to look like starts in here and starts in here. So and love and people, love is a decision. It's not some fanciful feeling. You make a decision, just like God made a decision to love us in spite of us. You make a decision to love another person just blanketly, meaning it's not something fleeting. It's not something that, oh, you made me mad today, I don't love you no more. Love is a decision that you make every day with a person. And now, I didn't need the white picket fence. I needed a partner to help me build I put our dreams together, and build what we're called to do. I look at you and Paul, and I'm going, right where y'all started. It was like, it didn't look to us and the world like it should look. But when it looked right, it didn't work, did it? It did not work. So it didn't look, because you're a couple years older than Paul. It's like, well, is that going to work? Nina's strong-willed, young lady, and blah, blah, blah. And, I love Paul. I love Paul. And it's like, look at where you went from to where you are. And because we didn't think it would look a certain way, that's why people stumble because they want it to look a certain way. And I tell people now, single women, I said, the man you're going to marry is not going to look the way you think he is. And they always think I'm thinking he's gonna be ugly. Well, if I'm not attracted to him, and I'm like, I'm not talking about his look. He might not be quite in the place that you want him to be. And I'm not talking about potential. It's there. You just need to dust the coal off the diamond. It's there. But sometimes women come and shine you up a little bit because you don't care. My husband used to wear sweatpants all the time. But sometimes you're like, oh, well, we going out. You want to put on a nice pair of slacks. It wasn't, he had a good heart. He was funny. He was loving. He was caring. He will work himself to the bone. I can depend on him for anything. So he had on sweatpants. Tell him to put on some pants. So.
Paul used to wear sneakers
all the time.
And that chain wallet when we first met. And here's the deal, because it didn't look like, and honestly, it's so crazy because the first marriage, it was supposed to be like the perfect thing. It looked like it was, that was it.
It looked like a picture.
It was like a picture frame, like, that is it. And this is same for men, and this is the same for the men, that this is the same thing when you're looking at a woman. It could be the very same thing. I was heavy when I got married to Paul. Heavy. You know what I mean? I didn't look like this, but I was who I was. And honestly, he didn't have a problem with the thick Nina. He didn't. And so no, I was fat, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm gonna take that back. I wasn't thick, I was fat. But here's the reality of it. Here's the other thing I want to say. There is love after the D, but please stop getting married for the wedding day.
No.
And that is what we got married for, the wedding day. You gotta now make sure, is this the person? What do you see in this person beyond the wedding day? Right. And the reality of it is that you might not even see it all right now, but you've got to leave room. You've got to leave room. And honestly, when you understand your role as a woman in the marriage, the man might be the head, but the woman is the neck. All right. And yes, he is the head, but the woman is the neck. And woman, if you want, you can make or break the man in your life.
Right. You can.
Now, there are some men that just are stubborn and they're rude and they don't want to change and all of that. And I get it. That's why I say, before you get into, you have to examine, like, that is why we're going to touch on this. It is so important to not be sexually involved with a person beforehand, because it clouds your judgment. It clouds your judgment. And you think because the sex was great that, oh yeah, this is the one. He a smooth talker, or she, she is like what, 28 or 34, 28, 36, right? 40, right? You think because it's that's it. She is it. And oh my gosh. But at the end of the day, can she pray for you?
Right.
At the end of the day, can she not be so cantankerous so that you can find yourself and still find peace, like the man want to come home?
Can she support your dream when it looks crazy? I think about Tracy one night said, I can't do this no more. I can't go down here to UPS again. And I was like, okay, whatever your plan. And he is exponentially more successful than he was down in some UPS every day, smelling gasoline fumes, sick, and they don't even know they sick down there till they die.
I remember that. I remember Tracy texting me at like 2:00 in the morning, like, since I'm done. And I was like, done with what? Like what? what are we talking about? Because
it's a scary thing. Can you support him and support his dream? Or are you gonna be like, you better go to work? You gotta do this. Can you take the burden while they transition? A man should find a woman that will keep will take up the burden while you transition into who you're supposed to be.
And not make you feel like you're less than a man.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Women think that they're going to get a man that's the 100% perfect. But what do you have to make him want you? If the man got it 100% perfect, is he looking for you? Maybe he wants somebody else that's 100% perfect and you're not. I had a friend one time say, you want a man with A1 credit and all this stuff. Maybe he want a woman with hair because she ain't had much hair. Like not short hair, like it was bald spots. And when she said it, I know that was harsh, but it was the true reality is what are you bringing to the table? Can you handle a man that has a dream that doesn't quite look like it is going to look yet?
Right. And then, like I said, I think it's so important that we women don't want to emasculate our men, you know, because now it's different when he's just laying around doing nothing, playing video games, watching TV,
dropping you off from work,
in your car.
car.
I get it, but I'm talking about when you know, because your husband left his job, but he didn't leave his job to go lay around at home.
No,
he left his job and then started other career paths until he found his niche. He found his rhythm, his thing. And so that's right. What's in your right? Can you pay for, can you pray? Right. But can he pray? Right. Can you nurture a woman? And a man is supposed to nurture a woman with the word of God. He's supposed to wash her. The Bible says that he shall be washing her with the word. Washing her with the word. And so, you know, there is love after divorce. There's life after divorce. And I will tell you all that just make sure, she said we need to write a book. Rob said we need to both write a book because there's some good stuff. Just
it'll be book number 2 for us.
Too, right. We got to take time to heal. Just really take time to heal. And you guys don't be like the Hollywood folks, right? And you know, they divorced and then they out the next week with a new boo. You know, don't be like that. Don't be like them. That is not the real world. That is not the real world, y'all. That is not the real world. Don't just write a list of what you want. Yes. Don't just right, because you know, here's what we got to understand. Single ladies, this one's for you. A man that finds a wife finds a good thing.
That's right.
So ladies, he has to find you as a wife. Meaning, don't be like Jennifer Lopez. Yeah, I don't know what they got going on, but that means you are supposed to be preparing yourself for the bridegroom before you get married. You got to know that. Like, you need to be preparing yourself, right? The man's job is to leave and cleave and to love you as Christ loved the church and gave himself for her. But ladies, a man that finds a wife, because we are the thermostat. We control the temperature in the home. And no man wants to come home to a all the time.
Right.
Quiet that spirit, because that ain't what a man, he ain't gonna come home if you do that. Yeah. So there is life after divorce. Can you just give everybody one last thing? What is your one tip for someone who might be going through a divorce, someone who might just have gone through a divorce, or maybe even the person that has already gone through divorce and they're actually thinking like, I want to get married again? Leave them something.
Ooh, so many things just ran to my mind. Patient. Be patient. Find something that you want to do and explore it. What I'm saying is, don't rush into a relationship. You said that, but take time to find out who you are, what you want, how you want it. Find things that you like. Spend time with friends and family. Don't waddle in like I'm alone, I'm sad or whatever. Don't do that. We already talked about getting counseling, but just be what I'm trying to say. Just I always, and the word won't come to me. Just be patient with yourself and get time to get to know yourself and find out, what it is in you that you want. Because life isn't just about who told you that you should be married. So find out if that's what you're even supposed to be. Find out who you are and what you are here for. And when you find that, sometimes the person to come right alongside of you, and now it's like, oh, yeah, it's not just about, oh, I'm so in love, but like we got a purpose. We're going somewhere. We got things to do in the earth because time is short.
Time is short. That's so good. That is actually so good because I remember Paul interrupted my life. Like I was like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Date? What? No, it was an interruption
Yeah.
of my life.
Yeah.
I was cool, single, dating sometimes. I was working. I was grinding actually.
Yes.
Because I was on a grind to get my credit back on track, to get my life back on track, and to just get in a rhythm. And so honestly, when Paul came along, it interrupted my life because I was good. So that is that's great. Now I'm not calling them nuggets, those are boulders. That was good. Get back to you. Go get some massages and have some me time and go out to the water and meditate. Like really get quiet. You got to get quiet and stop stop taking advice from everybody. Go seek out counsel and let that be the person that you get your counsel from. Pray, seek his face, right? Fast so that you can get clarity. And I'll tell you guys, you can have a happy, healthy marriage again.
Yes.
Right? There is love and life after the D. So thank you so much, Mrs. Hook.
Thank you for having me. This was fun.
This is fun. All right, y'all put some love in the chat for Mrs. Hooks. She's getting ready to go out on a date with her with her boo this evening. So she stayed long enough to do the show with us. All right, you guys. So listen, we're gonna pick this up again next Tuesday as we continue to talk a little bit about life after divorce, because there are several different vantage points of divorce. There's the male perspective, there's the kid's perspective, right? There's the parents' perspective, there's the friend's perspective. And I think that this is a topic that we really, really should talk about so that we can get people back on track, right? And so I am so glad that all of you decided to spend some time with me today. Listen, follow the Moira Experience on YouTube, you guys. You never know what we're going to drop there. Make sure that you actually go to and get registered at ninarmorer.com. So I want you to remember this. The last thing we're going to say is this, that no matter what is going on in your life, always remember that you can live again, love again, laugh again, hope again, and you most certainly can bling again. All right, y'all. Bye.